Awesome. Okay, so right now I'm looking at my home screen in Infusion. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose two ways that you could enter this. I'm going to refer to it as a debit memo, because essentially that's what it is. You're charging the customer extra from outside of their sales invoice that they're going to receive for the product. So option number one is that you can enter this debit memo directly inside of Infusion here. So you guys keep the shipping charge as an item number, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And I believe I was able to find that, but I just want to verify that with you guys. I went to cards, inventory, item, and I found 1998690. It said shipping and handling. Is this correct?
That's correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, 998690.
Yep, that's exactly what, that's what I got up on here on screen. It might be hard for you to see. Perfect. Okay. So, when you enter the debit memo, you have the option to either, one, assign that item onto the debit memo, or two, not assign the item on the debit memo. So essentially just send them a $50 charge. Now from our discussion, I think I recall that you do want to enter that item number because that in turn passes to like Diver and EIS, which you guys will be using a little bit, probably Diver a little bit more, so that people can monitor that in those outside softwares. Is that correct?
Correct.
Perfect. Okay, so we will always be entering the item. Now, to enter this transaction, you can go to it in a couple ways. First, I have my sales navigation pane down here. The reason I like navigation panes is that it brings me to a one-stop shop of everything pertaining to sales. So I have all my inquiries right here. I have all my transaction entries. I have all my cards, which include my customer card. Or if you'd like, you also have a toolbar at the top of the screen where you could go to transactions, sales, and you can get to the same location. So I'm going to take us to under transactions to transaction entry. Now notice there's another one up here called sales transaction entry. You will not be entering here. Any transactions entered here are like an invoice, meaning that it's actually going to decrement inventory. And we're not really doing that here. All we're doing is assigning a charge to the customer and associating with an item. So there's no reason to do an actual invoice. We're going to do a transaction entry, which is more like a debit memo. Everyone follow so far? Wonderful. Now, once in this screen, your document type is going to be sales/invoice. And I can either tab or enter, depending on how I have my user profile set up, through the fields. So the document number is automatically going to default to the next sequential number. Right now we just have some test numbers in there, so it may not actually say sales, so don't get hung up on that. And then I get a description field. I have a couple different fields on the debit memo where I can put notes that will actually display when I print this for the customer. So this is my first spot. So if I'd like, I could write shipping charge, and then if I wanted to put the original invoice number, I could do this here. Or however other notes you usually make. There's also no spot for additional notes that will print, and that's under additional here at the top, receivable additional notes. So if you had more that you wanted to add on there, you can add it into any one of these slots here. If I tap through my fields, the next one it takes me to is batch IDs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term of batches, but batches inside of Infusion is something you're going to come across a lot. It's basically a way for you to group your transactions together. So, and if you had a stack of shipping charges that you're going to do about 20 of them, you may not want to enter one and then hit post, and then enter one and hit post. And again, posting is the finalization of it. Maybe you'd like to enter all of them and then review the batch once in total, make sure your total adds up to what you expected, And to do that, you would create a batch. So you could call this Ann Carpenter, and then, maybe today's date. If I tab through the field, and it's not a batch that's already existing, meaning it's not a batch that I've been currently adding transactions into, the system's going to prompt me and ask me, do you want to add this batch? And I can hit add, and it automatically populates that batch ID, and I just hit save. The only thing I did there was set up that batch. You have a decision over the document date here. It will automatically default to today's date, but you can backdate it in the system. Or forward date, I guess. And then next you have your customer ID field. If you know your customer ID, you can always just type it in. But you always have the option to look it up using this looking glass. If I'd like to search by customer ID, I can simply, as long as it says find by customer ID here, I can start typing it in. Or if I know the customer's name, I can click on the customer name column, and it changes my search criteria to find by customer name, and then I can search by the name instead. So I'm going to pick one of your tobacco customers here. The rest of those fields you don't have to worry about. This field, though, PO number, is very important. PO number to us, we use as an indicator on when this needs to pass to outside reporting systems like EIS or Diver. Inside of this PO number field, you'll have to type 3 letters, INV. That's an indicator to us. INV to us means inventive. So it's telling the system, send this debit memo to EIS, which is Inventive's reporting software. But it would be the same thing for Diver. Send this to Diver. This is your indicator right there that that needs to happen. So that'll be really important. Any questions on that? Okay. Next, you have your sales total. So this is going to be the grand total of your shipping charge. So I don't know if you do it by like 5 cases of the item, each at $10, so that adds up to $50, however you want to work it. Or if it's just you enter the item once for $50 and your total is $50. So I'm going to put 50 here. And the last thing I need to do in this window is obviously assign it to the item. At the bottom here, we have what we call our companion window. This allows you to associate an item with this debit memo. Again, it's different from a sales invoice. It's not like we're actually decrementing inventory with this. We're just drawing a relationship between this debit memo and the item number. So down in this grid below, I can either type in the item or again use the looking glass to look it up. So I'm going to do 998,690. If I tab through the field, it automatically populates the item description and the default warehouse where it's located. And next I get my unit of measure field. Now, do you guys, when you currently do this, do you put it down as a case or a bottle, or does it not really matter?
One case.
One case, okay. So I can type case, and then I can do my quantity, which would be, it sounds like you just do 1. And just a little tip, as you're practicing, you'll realize this too. You have to put the decimal point here. So I type 1 and then I do period, and that moves it to 1. Otherwise, it'll remain 0.1. And then your unit price field is going to be the amount per unit. So right here, we're doing 1 case. So if I do $50, it's 50 times 1. But if I had a quantity of 2, it'd be 50 times 2, so it'd be 100. Now, I just want to point out that this companion window was an add-on by Microsoft for our solution. And it is not tied to this window, dollar-wise, I should say. So just be careful. There is nothing stopping me from coming up here and fat fingering this to make it $60. This below window will still stay at $50. So it sounds like that won't really be an issue for you guys. If you do everything at one case, it'll be really easy for you to keep track of that. But just make sure that your totals in both of these windows match. Now, the last thing that I wanted to comment on, and actually you guys might not be able to answer this question. It might go to the accounting team. But the one negative of entering this transaction manually in Infusion is that the distributions are automatically going to populate for you, but it may not necessarily be what the accounting department wants to see. Are you guys familiar with when you enter your transactions, do you populate the GLs or anything like that, or you just straight enter the transaction?
Just entering the transaction.
Mm-hmm. So we might need to, Cameron, if you would make a note, we might have to follow up with the accounting team to see if they're okay with this. The reason I pause is if I click this distribution button, again, we're in an integrated system, so everything that you do does affect the GL. I know that it's populated some accounts from the customer card, but if you'll notice, it doesn't have that last distinguishing segment. Again, Michael and you might not know this, but Cameron, if you remember from our accounting meetings, this last segment right here that I've highlighted should draw a relationship to the item class. So for tobacco, I think it's 450. However, because we entered this manually, it's pulling everything from the customer side. It's not really looking at the item. So it populates 000 instead of 450 here. So that might be fine. If we talk to the accounting team, they might say, that's fine, we'll make a journal entry at the end of the month because they can run a smart list and total that up. But we'll just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page so this doesn't come to a surprise to them. Awesome. So again, if you enter in a batch, you don't have to hit post right away. I can hit save, and then I can move on to my next one, and it'll actually hold my batch ID. So I can just keep entering these until I'm done. You also have the option to print. So let me get back to my test guy here. You can either print individually, or if you'd like, if you create this batch, you can print all of them from the batch at the same time. And I guess I should ask, do you print them, or do you just email them, or just put it on the customer's account and they don't need paperwork?
It prints automatically. I don't have any control of printing it when I want to print it. Once I have printed twice, it prints.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this will be a new step for you.
And then the customer sees that copy, that we get a hard copy of that.
So you get a hard copy that you keep on file. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
And then how does the customer get that copy? You send it to them via mail, via email?
Scan it, yeah, scan it, email.
Scan and email. Okay. So we have some options for you to email that from inside the system here too, which will be really nice. But looking at an individual transaction before we go to a mass amount, you have this print icon up here at the top. And anytime you hit print here, you'll get this window. You can either print it to file, which means you could send it to a PDF on your desktop if you'd like. You could send it to a printer, or you can send it to a delivery system. Delivery system means email, so we'll talk about that here in a minute. And in this example, if you just wanted to look at it for some reason, but without sending it anywhere, you can do it to screen. So that's what I'm going to do here for you. And this is what it's going to look like. Oh, maybe I hit print twice accidentally. Or did not check my other box. That might have just got sent to a printer somewhere. Is this what your document currently looks like?
Pretty close.
Pretty close now.
Awesome. Good. Now, let's go look at the navigation panes, which allow you to do things in mass. So,
Can I ask a quick question?
yeah.
When you do the batch, are they going to do individual? If she was to print a batch, will it do each individual one, so each individual one comes out on its own sheet like that? Or is it just a print of the batch
It'll be one piece of paper per customer, per debit memo, I should say. You can enter two different debit memos for the same customer. It's going to give you 2 pieces of paper. 1 piece of paper per transaction. That make sense?
No, that's not what you just said. In other words, is it gonna print each, if I do it under a batch, is it gonna print each invoice for each customer?
Yes.
Or is it just gonna print all the invoices on one sheet of paper, showing them on one sheet of paper?
Nope, it'll be 1 invoice or 1 piece of paper per customer entry.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Which is okay, except for the fact that, is this going to go back to the warehouse too?
Why does the warehouse need to get this?
Or not the warehouse, but the accounting will be getting a copy of this?
What does the accounting team do with this?
Well, somebody's gotta account for it, right?
Well, is that the hard copy that you said you keep?
When the bill is paid, he's going to be matching up. He matches every piece of paperwork that we do on that, especially in the one case with the golf courses, is, he itemizes out, he writes 1 check for the whole, what we bill him, but it's itemized out for each individual invoice that's attached to it.
Right now, we did not account, not that we couldn't, we did not account for any sort of sending of printing of this document to different printers. This one is just wherever you print it, wherever you send it, it's going to go. So if you like to print a hard copy to keep on hand, to file away, and print one to email, that's all possible, but there's no automated thing that's going to do that for you.
Right. Is it going to reflect on the AR?
Yep. So after you post this, I'm just going to pull up another customer. This is a customer inquiry window. It holds on their AR. Let's see if we can get a debit memo here or something. Yeah. No. There's got to be a better one. Here we go. So, let's say, this is my customer, Old Chicago Pasta and Pizza. Here's the debit memo for a shipping charge, let's say, for $150. And it shows that the amount remaining on their AR is $150. Once they pay this will drop down to 0. So this will show on their customer statement. It will show in Pocket Advantage, so the rep can keep an eye on it, which might be you guys anyways. But yes, because this is an integrated software, as soon as you hit post, it's in there forever, kept on their AR. Make sense? Awesome. So do we feel good about the fact that printing is completely in your hands, at least for this part? I know that on the actual invoice for the cigar product is different.
The warehouse, as far as I know, the only copy gets shot to us. Is that correct? So we're only getting that one. There's only 1 copy coming out. So yeah, that's fine with us. The main thing is that all I want to do is just make sure it's showing up on AR. The bill will be paid, and it'll be, they're gonna have to match up the money to get. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's no question about that. And you can always, with anything in our system, you can always come back and reprint too, because we hold on to that document. It's held in their AR. You can always reprint that document too.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to move to the navigation pane, which is where if you'd like to do things in bulk, like print your whole batch, that's where you would do that. So again, we covered printing 1 individual document from this window. If I close here, I'm still in my sales navigation pane here. Up at the top, I'm going to collapse this so we're starting from step 1. I have a section called Receivable Transactions. And if I open this up, I have Debit Credit Memos INV. Remember, you type INV into that PO field, so it'll pull into this list. Now, inside of here, notice I have my check boxes along the left side. So this is where you can mass select transactions to either print them or post them all in one step. So I can select these three, and I can come up to the top in my action pane and hit print. And I get those same prompts from before. I can also have all of them selected and come up to my action pane and hit post. And it finalizes it and posts it through to the customer's AR. Now, I just want to point out that keep in mind, your transactions aren't going to be the only ones living in here. Any credit or debit memos that customer sales rep are doing will also be in here as well. If you think that's going to be a problem, we can look into maybe creating you a separate list of your own. I just would have to work on the criteria for that because I'm not sure if I could define a different criteria. But would that be a problem? Let's start there.
The only problem that's going to be is the list is probably going to be so long, and do they go in alphabetical order, or do they go in as you do them?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a couple different ways that you can search inside of this window. First of all, any one of these columns you can click on and it will sort for you in ascending or descending order. So if I know that I entered all of my debit memos and they all fell in line, the same sequential document number, sorting by this might help you. You also have a
I
type.
don't know if the number would be, but maybe the date would be.
Yeah.
Because if I knew I entered them all, say yesterday, then they're all going to be under 321.
Yeah, for sure. If you could pick.
That might help that way.
Yes. You also have a type 2 filter here. So this filter up here will allow you to search for any part of the text in the grid below. So if I want to see everyone for Blackman, if I type Blackman in here and hit, not enter, I always do that. And I spelled it wrong. Then it'll only show me those. So let's see if the date filter works on here. So if I do 3/10/2016, no. Yeah, I don't think it'll actually work on the date there, but that's all right. There's also a couple other columns that I could add in here. Let me just take a quick look while we're on the subject. Yeah, nothing else. I got address and that salesperson ID won't be helpful to you. But yeah, if you picked a certain date.
And the date's going to be probably just for her, because she just referred to the date.
Yeah.
And you were asking about the sales, the sales number of that person. Really, there's only two numbers that are probably going to come up with shipping charges. And that's the guy that has all the golf courses or myself.
Yeah, unfortunately that sales rep field, it won't display those numbers. There is, at each customer you can assign an AR rep and you only get one rep. So that would be like the person that you choose to collect on the account, the one that's kind of responsible for their AR. And then you have another window where you assign all the different reps that sell to the customers. So, and Littman, you guys chose not to use AR sales rep, so that field will be blank, it won't help you. But yeah, I think date will be really good. And this window shouldn't get so big. It's a little large right now. I have 74 transactions because everybody's entering test transactions and nobody's posting. Everyone will be posting in this window on a daily basis, so it won't get huge. Good. Everyone feel good about entering manually inside of the system? Printing, posting?
Yes.
Good. I'll make sure that you have an email option set up as well. And the email will pull from the customer card. So whatever email is stored at the customer, it will automatically send to that one. Now you guys do have the option if you'd like it to pop to screen before it goes to the customer, or if you'd like it just to automatically send and you don't ever see it. Would you like to see it on screen before it goes?
Probably be a good idea.
Okay. And that can change in the future. If after a while you feel real comfortable with it, you haven't had any issues, we can turn it off to just automatically send. Great. Good. So our only open item here is the distribution, which Michael and Ann, don't worry about that. We'll follow up with your accounting team to see on how they'd like to handle that. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go to option number 2, which is Pocket Advantage. So you're going to see something else come on the screen. Ann and Michael, have either of you worked inside of Pocket Advantage before?
No.
Okay. So going forward, all orders and returns, anything involving inventory, will be done inside of Pocket Advantage. It doesn't matter if you're a sales rep or if you're a back office rep. So you guys would be considered back office reps. You will be entering orders through Pocket Advantage, which is Inventive software. And you guys both have rep IDs. So it's almost like you are sales reps. So there, we have done that walkthrough already. There's a video online. If you guys haven't gotten into Pocket Advantage yet to test on this system, not your live system, but coming towards Infusion, please touch base with Blake and just see if when he's anticipating getting you guys in there. So I'm gonna move through this. I know that you guys haven't seen these screens before, but please touch base with Blake on getting comfortable and into Pocket Advantage so this whole section wouldn't seem so overwhelming to you. Sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Inside of Pocket Advantage, I can pick my customer. Again, I can sort by any one of these columns and search by it. There's all those features in here. And now I'm looking at all my items. I have 4 different item views. I can view all items. I can search by type, meaning that I can filter down to just like tobacco products if I'd like to. I can search by just items that this customer has bought. And then I can also search by items that have been invoiced to this customer. Now, since you guys currently populate that item number, I'm assuming that your shipping and handling charge will show up in this window. Does that make sense? Yep. Once you guys move over from, currently you guys, obviously you use Pocket Advantage for your reps now. Inventive's going to move that history over, so it will display in this window for you to do what I'm about to do. So in this invoice screen, you have the ability to create a credit or debit memo, which is essentially what we just did inside of the system. So you can find your item. Obviously, I don't have that one in here right now, but I'm just going to pick this Avita root beer. And if I come over to my order type selection here, I can pick debit memo. Well, it just says debit. I can pick my item. It asks me for a ship date, which really isn't applicable on a debit memo because you're not shipping any product to them. You can just hit OK here. And then you populate the quantity and the amount that you want to charge the customer. So following that same example we did inside of Infusion, I would do 1 case and I would do it at $50. This is adjustment per unit. So again, if I did 2 here, it's going to bring it in at $100. And then you also select a reason code. There is a reason code for handling charge. I feel like that would be really applicable to you guys. So that would be your reason. And this reason code is going to populate in that additional receivable notes window that we looked at before. So it'll automatically populate there for you. Here you just hit book it. No, well, I guess I have some selling restrictions on this item. Give me 1 second. See if this one works better. There we go. And if I go home, here's my order. I get to see high level my customer, the quantity, ignore the extended price, that's actually the front line for the item. There's a column that will show that adjusted price that we entered. And then you hit send. The downside to the inventive side is that you have to wait now, up to 10 minutes, before this goes through and comes into infusion here. However, the upside to doing it in Pocket Advantage means that your distributions will show correctly for your accounting team.
It seems a heck of a lot faster.
I guess I should explain the other downside might be if we don't see that shipping. You must be in this invoice screen to do that shipping charge, to do the debit memo. So if that item 998690 doesn't show here, you're going to be stuck. Just for that one. So like, let's say you've never charged a customer a shipping charge. The first one you might have to do inside of Infusion here, manually. And then the next time we send transactions over to Inventive, it'll display there. And then you can do the debit memos inside of Pocket Advantage from there on out. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, and honestly, after we talk to your accounting team, they might say that Pocket Advantage will be the only way. But do you guys have a preference, just so I can tell them? Or do both ways seem pretty plausible?
I like Pocket Advantage. I think, yeah, the less steps, and I know with Ann, in dealing with her for the number of years that I have, keeping the kiss applies here. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Good.
And the less things she has to do, this is pretty, you know, I'm looking at it going, okay, this is 100 less steps, and that's what, for Ann, that's going to be a good thing.
Okay. I think what's really important though, so this is considered your walkthrough on this, meaning that after this point you are clear to get into Infusion and to get into Pocket Advantage and to practice this. So I would encourage you guys to practice both ways. Even if you end up using Pocket Advantage.
Can you say that? Right, when we have a new customer,
Yeah.
so we have a new customer that comes up, every new customer that gets added in for our golf courses, because we ship 99 out of 100, you know, every time we ship to them, but when they're new, they're not going to have any history. So,
Yes. So you're.
Is that going to be the case that we'll have to go the back way for their product too when we put their
No,
in?
not for their product.
Just on these shipping debit type thing.
You got it. Yeah. So I think it'll be really important, just to your point, Michael, practice both ways, because there will be a scenario where you will have to manually enter it in Infusion. But then from there on out, you can do it in Pocket Advantage. Good. Just to close this Pocket Advantage circle, after you hit send and it imports into Infusion, it will display in this same navigation pane. And actually, let me see if I can grab us one here. This is kind of what it looks like. Very similar to what we entered. It automatically adds for you billing adjustment to invoice number da-da-da. Because in Pocket Advantage, on that invoice screen, it actually lists the invoice number that shipping charge was assessed on.
Okay.
But then same principles. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so this is under seeing transactions, receivables, transactions, and then debit credit memo in INV.
Yep, INV. The same actions need to be taken after you enter Pocket Advantage and send it into Infusion, and that would be printing and posting. Nothing in the system automatically does that for you. It's So you do need to, in the end, come back into Infusion and finalize it on the customer's AR and send them the appropriate documents.
When for, let's say we're doing an order that goes out on our trucks.
Yeah.
And the pockets manage and we do that, and we don't have to put a shipping debit memo or anything there on that. We're only just doing the products. Is there, once you hit send and everything like that, we have to go through all of this, or is that different?
That is different. Your invoices will follow the normal daily process, meaning that once you've entered it in Pocket Advantage, it comes into Infusion, creates an invoice, prints out at night. Again, that printer discussion that we had is coming into play. It is picked through the WMS and then is posted and finalized. So no, after you guys have done your entry on like an actual sending them tobacco product, you're done. Feel good? Great.
I will say, I'll let you finish this and I'll ask you a question afterwards.
I am done.
Okay. Right now, so I know we're working towards having turning on and off the invoice.
The pricing,
Right now, what's that?
the pricing showing on the invoice, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So if we get that worked out, it'll kind of make this obsolete. But at this time, right now, because nothing's going through, I look up, I go in and look, I can, look up try to think, my brain's doing a cramp here with all this thinking. But I basically go in and I'm able to find my copy of their invoice, and I'm able to send them through email a copy of that invoice.
Yeah.
But I won't necessarily need that if we've got the turn off and turn.
Right.
Is that looking like that's able to happen?
Oh, yeah, well, yes, based on that last call that we had, it sounded like that was, we're looking into making that happen with Printer Magic. But I do want to say, to your point, regardless of what happens with those, the printers and printing prices on it or not printing prices on it, the same thing holds for what I said earlier. No matter what in this system, you can always go back and reprint anything. Whether it's a debit memo, whether it's the actual invoice with the tobacco product, it doesn't matter. If it displays on their customer AR, which it will from the moment that you post it on, there is nothing stopping you from coming in there, looking at the original document on screen. Let me get an actual invoice back up here. So here's like a posted invoice, again, not for tobacco product, but this is just an example. I can always go back and look at it on screen, and I can always come back and reprint it, and including in that reprinting, you can always re-email it. Yeah. Good. Any other questions?
No, I think that's so far so good until we get to the turn off, turn on, turn off.
Yeah. Yes.
Train on that, but.
Mm-hmm. So the way this goes is, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mike's all right.
He might be. He said he'd be listening intermittently.
Okay. So will you be able to set Ann and I up with Pocket Advantage?
Yes, I've got that on Bruce's task. Let's do that.
Thanks, Blake.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, so the way that these walkthroughs go is that we actually recorded today's session. So everything that I moved around on screen, all of the audio is recorded, and we upload it to a YouTube page designated especially for you guys, so that you can go back through and watch this video while you're testing and feel good that you have that step-by-step instruction. So you have that video. We also send a little walkthrough recap to Blake, which has steps written down of what we went over, so I know he's been sending that on to users in case they like to read while they're testing. And then your last step is you always have us to call. So if you feel like you're stuck, or if you're not sure what to do next, you can always reach out to us, either give us a buzz, or you can email infusionsupport@difisolutions.com. That goes to the whole team here, and someone will get with you shortly after you send that. Feel empowered?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Great. Okay, thanks for your time today, guys.
Thank you.
And Cameron, we'll reach out to the accounting team because I think we can outline it for them pretty well and come up with a game plan. Sound good?
Okay, yes, I'm gonna ask about that.
Yeah, I think we got it. It'll be a quick question. Hopefully, it'll just be a quick 10, 15-minute call to them.
Sounds good.
Perfect. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.